Seattle. Round of 16. The scoreboard already says Belgium, and it keeps getting worse for the United States as the second half wears on. The man carrying most of the American attack tonight is a striker who, by the plain letter of the rule book, should not be anywhere near this field. 9 days earlier, Folarin Balogun scored the goal that beat Bosnia and Herzegovina in the round of 32. 45 minutes in, header, celebration, the kind of moment a player waits a whole tournament for. 19 minutes later, he was walking the other way. Red card. Video review confirmed he'd caught an opponent's ankle going for a 50-50 ball. Under FIFA's own disciplinary code, that carries one automatic consequence. You sit out the next match. No appeal that goes anywhere, no exceptions, no gray area. Every player in that tournament understood the rule the same way because it had always applied to everyone the same way. Except this time, before that next match kicked off, the President of the United States picked up a phone and called the President of FIFA. Donald Trump spoke directly with Gianni Infantino, asking him, in Infantino's own words afterward, to review the decision. FIFA didn't overturn the red card itself. The video evidence was still the video evidence, still sitting on Balogun's disciplinary record. What FIFA did instead was stranger. Citing Article 27 of its own disciplinary code, the organization converted an automatic one-match ban into a one-year probationary suspension. The card stayed. The punishment simply stopped applying, effective immediately, in time for kickoff against Belgium. Balogun took the field. He played almost the full 90 minutes. Here's the detail worth sitting with before we go any further. FIFA has never explained on the record why Article 27 applied to this case and not to any of the other players sent off in the same tournament who served their bans on schedule, without a phone call made on their behalf. Infantino told reporters the disciplinary body remained independent. He did not explain why independence produced this particular outcome for this particular player in the 48 hours after a sitting head of state called him personally. If that detail is already making you want to argue about it in the comments, good. Hold on to that, because we're not done. Before we get to what happened at full time, it's worth pausing on something almost nobody said out loud in the coverage that week. This is not the first time the World Cup has bent for someone powerful enough to bend it. It's happened on 3 different continents, under 3 completely different political systems, across 9 decades. Stay for those 3, because the pattern is the real story here, not any one phone call. So let's be precise about what this video is actually arguing, because it isn't the easy version. The claim here isn't that Donald Trump broke football or invented some new kind of corruption nobody had seen before. The claim is older, and in a way, more uncomfortable. When someone holds enough power, the game bends to fit them. Not the rulebook itself. The rulebook stays exactly where it is. Printed and official and untouched, available for anyone to read. Just the part where the rulebook applies equally to everyone. That part goes soft. It has gone soft under fascist dictators, under military juntas, under co-hosting governments desperate for a good tournament, and now live on television under an American president calling in a favor for a soccer player. Football. Across a full century of World Cups, has proven to be one of the most reliable places on Earth to watch power reveal exactly how it works, because power always eventually wants the trophy, or the story, or the deniability that comes with either. Start 92 years earlier, in Rome, 1934. Benito Mussolini did not invent match manipulation, but he understood something about a home World Cup that nobody had fully weaponized before him. A tournament played entirely on your own soil is a stage, and a stage can be built to only permit one ending. Italy had never won a World Cup. Mussolini's fascist government needed them to win this one, on camera, in front of the entire world, and treated the tournament as state business rather than sport. Referees for Italy's two biggest matches were, by multiple accounts from the players and journalists who were there at the time, selected and instructed in ways that conspicuously favored the hosts. The semi-final against Austria, arguably the best team in the tournament, was played in a downpour that Austrian players and coaches said afterward had been left deliberately unaddressed to slow their passing game. Officiated by a referee who waved away contact that would have drawn a foul anywhere else that tournament. The final against Czechoslovakia went to extra time after a series of decisions that Czech players contested loudly, in real time, not decades later, with the comfort of hindsight. Football historian David Goldblatt, who has spent a career tracing the sport's entanglement with 20th century political power, documents how thoroughly the Italian Football Federation and the fascist state had merged into a single organization by 1934, chasing a single outcome. Italy won the trophy. Mussolini got his propaganda reel, projected in newsreels across the country for years afterward, and the World Cup learned, in its very first great modern edition, that the scoreline and the true story of the tournament could be two entirely different things, and that most of the world would only ever see the scoreline. You already know the next chapter because we've told it in full on this channel before. England, 1966, hosting their only World Cup win. A quarterfinal against Argentina that ended with captain Antonio Ratin sent off after a shouting match nobody on the pitch could fully translate, and a final goal against West Germany that television replays still can't completely settle 6 decades and thousands of frame-by-frame analyses later. We're not retelling that whole story today. You can find it elsewhere on this channel if you want the full account. What matters here is the shape of it, because that shape is the pattern this video is tracing. Home advantage in 1966 wasn't just louder fans and shorter bus rides to the stadium. It was officiating decisions, federation politics behind closed doors, and a tournament structure that bent, quietly, deniably, just enough, toward the hosts holding the trophy at the final whistle. The final score said England deserved it. The shape of the whole tournament said England was always going to get it, deserving or not. 12 years later, the bending stopped being subtle. Argentina 1978. The country hosting the World Cup wasn't run by an elected government. It was run by a military junta that had, in the 2 years leading into the tournament, systematically disappeared thousands of its own citizens. General Jorge Videla's regime needed the World Cup to function as both a distraction from that campaign and proof of the nation's legitimacy on the world stage, and it organized the tournament accordingly, down to which stadiums got built and which journalists got press credentials. The most notorious result of the entire competition came in the second round. Argentina needed to beat Peru by 4 clear goals to advance ahead of Brazil on goal difference. They won 6-0. Peru's own starting goalkeeper that day, Ramon Quiroga, had been born in Argentina. In the years after the match, reporting surfaced that grain shipments from Argentina to Peru's military government and a substantial loan had both moved in the tournament's immediate aftermath. Claims no court has ever formally proven, and this video isn't asserting they're proven now, but journalists and historians revisiting the match for decades keep circling back to the same pattern, proof or no proof, a hosting government holding absolute internal power, and a result that conveniently kept that government's biggest stage running exactly on script, with the one goalkeeper on the losing side who shared the winning country's nationality, delivering the worst performance of his career. Then South Korea 2002, Co-hosting with Japan, the tournament where officiating controversy stopped being a whispered accusation between matches and became the headline story of the World Cup itself, discussed as loudly as any result on the field. Round of 16 against Italy. A disallowed Korean golden goal overturned, then a straight red card shown to Francesco Totti for what slow-motion replay suggested was, at worst, a soft foul drawn rather than committed, then a South Korean golden goal deep in extra time that eliminated one of the tournament's co-favorites. Quarterfinal against Spain. 2 separate Spanish goals disallowed in extra time, both overturned by officials for infractions that replay from multiple angles struggled to actually locate. The referee for that Italy match, Byron Moreno, would later be banned from football entirely. Not for anything that happened in 2002, but for a domestic match-fixing scandal in his home country of Ecuador years afterward, a detail that retrospective reporting on the 2002 tournament has never stopped attaching to his name. Co-hosting nations don't get to handpick who blows the whistle in their own knockout matches. But the pattern was unmistakable to everyone watching in real time, commentators included. The further the host nation advanced, the more the closest decisions seemed to break in exactly one direction. Which brings us back to Seattle and to the phone call this video started with. What happened after Belgium kicked off deserves to have been the bigger headline that week, and somehow wasn't. UEFA, European football's governing body, issued a formal statement saying FIFA had crossed a red line, calling the decision unprecedented, incomprehensible, and unjustifiable, language that governing bodies almost never use about each other in public. The Royal Belgian Football Association said it was astonished. Donald Trump, for his part, posted to his own social media platform, "Thank you to FIFA for doing what was right and reversing a great injustice." 2 entirely different football federations and a sitting head of state, describing the exact same 9 days as though they'd each watched a completely different tournament unfold in front of them. And then Belgium won 4-1. Balogun played almost the entire match, the reverse suspension changing nothing at all about the result it was supposedly protecting him for. Belgian players and staff reportedly didn't let that irony pass quietly on their way out of Seattle, with pointed remarks along the lines of "overturn this" aimed squarely at Washington and Zurich both, as the United States were eliminated, regardless of who had called whom 2 days earlier. That's the part almost nobody brings up when they retell this story afterward, and it's the part that makes it worth telling at all. Mussolini got his 1934 trophy. Videla's junta got its 1978 semifinal run and its propaganda footage. South Korea got its 2002 fourth-place finish, still the best result any Asian nation has ever produced at a World Cup. Historically, when power leans on the World Cup, power tends to get something back for the trouble. This time, the President of the United States picked up the phone. FIFA's own disciplinary code bent in a way it had never publicly bent before, in full view of every camera in the stadium, and the team he was defending still lost by 3 goals. 92 years after Rome, the only thing that's actually changed is who gets to make the call. The game still bends for power. It just doesn't always bend toward winning anymore. Sometimes, like in Seattle, it only bends far enough to prove that it still can.